Today on the show, Radical Ones, we welcome back our guest co-host Cadu as we journey through Lara Croft Tomb Raider and its sequel, The Cradle of Life.
Egypt again. Nothing but pyramids and sand.
I know. Gets everywhere.
It's time to get radical.
It has begun!
This is where I start to have fun.
Well, excuse me, princess.
My name is Alice. I work for the Umbrella Corporation.
The day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Fatality.
Shadow Demon, you shall not pass.
Hey, paisanos, it's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show!
Finish him.
Welcome back, Radical Ones, to another episode of the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. As always, I am your host, Radical Ryan Hunter, and we welcome back our guest and friend, Cadu, to the show. Hi, Cadu.
Hello, video game lovers. I'm back.
And I'm so glad to have you, because we have another double feature for the Radical Ones.
Yeah, our favorite kind of episode.
I think we are able to do two movies and get the best parts or the parts that we like the most and get to them really quickly. So I love doing these double features, and it's a way, Cadu, to do both Tomb Raiders during our summer of video games.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we are closing our double features era because we talked about doing all those movies years ago. And I think this is it. This is the last one.
You know what? I think you're right. To be continued, Radical Ones. Maybe they'll give us another sequel to one of our other movies that we love. Today, of course, is a movie series starring Angelina Jolie, but we have to start talking with Lara Croft herself. Now, for anyone who didn't grow up in the 90s or wasn't there, I feel like, Cadu, she was a worldwide icon. She just transcended.
She was a sensation.
Truly. So she started, of course, in the first Tomb Raider game, and she kind of became the icon of the PlayStation, honestly. I mean, of course, there's Resident Evils and Crash Bandicoot, but it was Lara Croft that really was selling PlayStations, I think, for a while.
And for me, it goes even before that, because I started playing Tomb Raider on my computer. You know, I remember the discs coming in those beautiful boxes, and I had Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3, and I loved every second of it because those games were my childhood. You know, I was so obsessed with Lara. I remember even buying magazines to know how to, discover the hidden things, and, it was a thing back then.
And those were really one of the first games. Of course, it was the start of the 3D revolution in the video games, but just like you said, there were so many hidden things, and you definitely needed a magazine or a strategy guide for those games back then.
And I always loved playing with the female characters, so this is the first game that I can recall that it is based on a singular female character, because we had Mortal Kombat and Donkey Kong and Super Mario, so they are always with those male characters and one or two females, but this is just Lara, and you get to play with her, so that's why I think I loved when I was a child.
You're right, and she was always by herself. There really wasn't a team around her. Of course, we love her Butler that would follow her around her mansion, which would be the training area in the games, but yeah, she was this badass woman that traveled the world and just could do anything, you felt like. And the jumps, oh my god, the jumps in the games. How did you do that on the computer, Cadu? That must have been hard.
Oh, I can't remember, but I was good. I can tell you that I was good.
Do you have a favorite out of the first original three?
I always go back and forth Tomb Raider 2 and 3 because I think the first one I was, getting the heads of it. So by the second and the third, I was a pro. So I think I think my favorite is the third because I think, I don't know, she goes to so many fantastic places and I love everything about it. So yeah, I think I probably pick the third one.
And by the third, they did have everything that made the first two great, but they added different mechanics even. And so, yes, I totally agree. I used to go back and forth as well, but for nostalgic sake, Tomb Raider 2 was the one that it was, I need to get a PlayStation, please, mom and dad, because it was Tomb Raider 2. And then I went back to Tomb Raider 1, and then that was it. I was in love. I even remember calendars and t-shirts, everything. So yeah, she took over the world, and it, of course, what's the next best thing? You gotta make a movie.
Yes.
Do you remember any of the casting decisions back in the day? Because I honestly, the only person I thought of was Elizabeth Hurley used to get brought up. But then researching this Cadu, the names on this is crazy, even down to Kirsten Dunst, Mila Jovovich, which I'm so glad was able to just be Alice and do her own video game series with Resident Evil. Charisma Carpenter Cadu, Demi Moore, Fairuza, Bulk. Oh God, that's a retro throwback. Jennifer Lopez, Christina Applegate, Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz, Shannon Doherty, which is just blew my mind. I had to tell Cadu this off screen, of course, because we're always talking about Charmed and our girls, but Shannon.
Yeah.
Heather Graham, Terry Hatcher, Jennifer Love Hewitt, of course, we love. Kate Hudson, Frank Jensen, Diane Lane, Lucy Liu, Gwyneth Paltrow, Anna Nicole, which is, that is just drives me crazy. But Cadu, out of everybody, the perfect choice really is right in front of you, and it is Angelina Jolie.
The perfect choice. I don't picture anyone playing this character because she's perfect for it. And I was so happy because I was a fan of Angelina before. I remember, Hackers and Girl Interrupted. And when I heard she was playing Lara, I was so excited because she's so beautiful. And
yes.
And, an action star was born right there.
Yeah, and it would really propel her for the rest of her career, honestly, because like you said, she was famous. And then, Girl Interrupted, she got so much attention for that. But then after this movie, yeah, I feel like she became a certified movie star and then just rose and rose and rose and rose.
Yeah, worldwide, I think in Brazil she was very famous, of course, but after Tomb Raider, she became like an icon.
So it really is the it girl of the 90s in that sense, this beautiful woman, and then the icon of the 90s with Lara Croft, and it's the perfect storm.
Yeah, and the media printed her as a bad girl, as a sassy girl, and now she's playing this character that is beloved by girls and boys, So I think it was the perfect combination.
And it did soften her in this movie, I feel like, because you could totally just see this light heart, besides the sadness, but even in the sequel, you just see this happiness, I feel like, now in the character and the confidence and things like that. So she did play this definitely not her image in the public, for sure.
And soften her up as a woman, because after Tomb Raider, she adopted her kids and became like this activist. So I think it was one of those roles that changed everything, It certainly changed her life.
You're right. It changed her professional and her personal life forever.
Forever, yes.
Play.
Born into wealth.
The future is yours now, Lara. The all-seeing eye.
Groomed by the elite.
Have you ever heard of the Clock of Ages?
It gives its possessor power of the people of the light.
And trained for combat.
We can be partners.
You might try to kill me.
I'm not going to kill you.
I said you'd try.
Angelina Jolie.
Is Lara Croft.
Save the universe?
Absolutely.
Tomb Raider.
So, Cadu, the first Tomb Raider, and this is Lara Croft Tomb Raider, I have to add the subtitle there, from 2001. It is the live-action movie inspired by the most successful interactive video game character in history, Lara Croft. Beautiful and brainy, Lara, Angelina Jolie, is the heroine of the successful Tomb Raider game series. It is one woman's fearless quest, crisscrossing the globe in an amazing attempt to save the world. And that basically sums it up. And there's guns, and there's action, and there's beautiful music, everything. But we'll get into it. What is your first thoughts of this live action take of Lara?
For some reason, I had no memory of this movie, and I really, really enjoy both of these movies. But watching it again, it made me smile, you know? I forgot how much fun it is because it's not afraid to be campy, and I love that. I think movies today are not this brave. It's so campy, it's so fun, and I really think they did a great job, you know? We have some problems like the CGI, I think it's really dated. But you know what? I think it's a solid movie. You know, we are in for the ride, for the popcorn. You know, so yes. I think it delivers.
I remember being so thrilled when this movie came out as well, and then I enjoyed this totally all over again. I think it sets up her character really well, Cadu, because we get that fake out. We think that she's in a tomb, which is, you know, if you don't know anything about the character, you know at least she goes in tombs and takes stuff. But, you know, we get this training montage. So you get a little bit of what you got in the video game in her mansion, like we mentioned.
Was it programmed to stop before it took my head off?
It's a great introduction, I think, because we have everything from the game in this particular scene. You know, we have the hair, we have the costume, we have the guns, we have the fighting. So it's all of the things we played and now in the opening sequence.
And it came to life. And unlike a lot of the movies that we've been doing this summer, they really tried with this to make you feel like this is Lara Croft. And maybe the character was more established personality-wise, and that helped. But it definitely is a way to do a game justice, I think. And Angelina was extremely hesitant towards wearing Lara's famous short shorts that she wears in the game. And the opening fight scene, like Cadu said, she looks just like the game. With Simon, the robot, she eventually agreed because she knew it would make the fans of the character happy. So you get that out of the way, and then she's able to have more of a different look.
Yeah, even with her personality and the clothes, I think it is established that it's Lara Croft, and then we can move on, you know?
Yes, exactly. It's Lara. You wanted action. You start with it, and then you unveil this story. So what do you think about adding the characters of, like we mentioned, her butler is a normal character, but what do you think about Hillary and Bryce being these characters that are her friends, I guess, or the people who know her the most?
I really like it because in the game we only have the butler, which is an old dude that we love to lock him at the freezer, you know, at
the best.
So it was just that. So here he has, you know, much more to do. And I do think he's gay because...
Oh, me too. Definitely, right?
Don't you think? Because he's always trying to make her look like a lady. And she even undressed in front of him. And he's like, you know, I couldn't care less.
Exactly. And I think that's the part, Cadu, that gave it away too. With our adult eyes. Yeah, like she doesn't care because he doesn't care.
Yeah.
I'm only trying to turn you into a lady, and a lady should be modest.
Yes, a lady should be modest.
And Bryce is that nerdy friend, you know, that you always want by your side because he's a tech expert, you know, and she's always busy with the archaeology things, and she's, you know, seeking mysteries. So I think it's good to have those two characters by her side.
We have 83 rooms. Why can't you live in the house?
Well, I'm a free spirit, me.
Right.
And we see that they're the ones that almost plan these missions for her because Hillary, the butler, comes with, here's this one, here's that one, you know, and she's bored. She's like, Egypt again? You know, this she's done it all and seen it all.
It's adventure time.
Egypt again. It's
Nothing but pyramids and sand.
I know. Gets everywhere. In the cracks.
And that line, I think it's so funny because it reminds you of the games. She was always, in some place like Egypt or, similar to that.
And just like the games, I'm thinking of the second game when we get that shower scene.
Oh, yeah.
This is definitely a boys' fantasy at the time in the 90s. Seeing Angelina in the shower and Cadu, all I could think about was when she's in the shower in this early scene. I mean, years ago, David, when we first saw this, he's like, oh my God, it looks like they put a pole in between her breasts to make them, point out so like perfectly on the side. So you get that perfect side shot of her, her breast.
The only thing I could think of during the scene is who does that with their hair, like taking a shower and flipping upside down and,
It was so putting on like a performance for, like some very sexy thing, but...
Yeah, and she was taking a shower by herself.
But you know what? And we've mentioned this in a lot of because we love our female-driven, sexy characters, Cadu and I.
Yeah, 100%.
But they would consider this now probably, gratuitous. But I don't take it like this because if we even look later on, they do it to the male characters as well.
Which I can appreciate. Not because they are beautiful, but I think it's only fair, you have the lady and you must have the man.
And it makes sense for Lara Croft's character because she is kind of that one woman that could just be like, cool with these sexy men and not really care because she's not into it.
Lara Croft. I don't believe it. You still pretending to be a photojournalist?
So, Alex, are you still pretending to be an archaeologist?
What do you think of the young Daniel Craig in this movie?
So it's crazy that I remember that he was in here, but I didn't remember. So when seeing him, I'm like, yeah, oh my God. But I gotta tell you, I don't think he's ever looked as good as he did in this movie. I don't know if it's his first movie. But after this, I don't think he looks as good. I remember being like a young kid and be like, wow, very handsome.
Yeah, the casting of this movie is like, bravo.
And it's perfect because he goes on to be James Bond. And she's kind of like the female James Bond, I guess you would say in a way.
Yeah, I think this is so fun because we have, like you said, James Bond and Lara Croft in the same movie.
And he's playing an American and she's pretending to be English. And meanwhile, he's really English. It's so funny.
And it's funny because I remember when I was younger, I used to think, wow, this is such a weird accent for her. But watching it today, I don't think that. I think she did a great job. What do you think of her accent?
Yes, as someone who really enjoys watching like English things, of course, my S Club 7s, I think she did a really good job. I mean, I guess we should ask like a real person from England, but to me, my ears, I think she sounds really realistic and still sexy. Not that that means anything, but sexy and also confident at the same time.
Yeah, I agree.
Perfect casting. Do you have favorite scenes in this movie that stand out this time?
Well, I have some funny scenes that I thought it was just hilarious. The first one that came to my mind is when the mansion is destroyed and that delivery guy comes to the door and Lara is just like, oh, I woke up this morning and I just hated everything.
It's so funny.
Morning.
Lady Lara Croft?
Yes. You have something for me? I woke up this morning and I just hated everything.
Right. Oh, thanks.
Made me laugh so hard. I had no memory of that scene, so it was so good.
I love that scene so much. It shows the character off and her humor so well and her not really whatever. Like she just goes with the punches. So that is hysterical.
I love her dry humor, She's always funny and sarcastic and witty, and I think it goes perfect with her personality.
Oh my God. And it continues in the sequel too. Like she just has these little moments. Oh, just shut up and things like it's just so funny what she says with just little things. Did you also like that scene where when she opens the door and he says, what's that smell? It's 5 a.m. I always remembered that for some reason since a kid.
What's that smell?
5 a.m. Let's go.
And every time I was up early, this is so crazy, up before 5 o'clock in the morning, I still to this day, randomly, I'll think of 5 a.m. That's what 5 a.m. smells like.
That's what I said, funny lines.
They just stay with you. Do you have any other ones?
Oh, I do. I really love the whole Indiana Jones atmosphere of this movie, with the mystery around the Triangle of Light. I do love those puzzle pieces, coming together. And
very video game as well.
Very video game. And of course, I love action. So I love everything action. The mansions attack before that famous line. I think it's super fun and creative. She's just like bungee jumping,
In a nightgown. Only Lara Croft could do this.
Only Lara can do this. And, this crazy attack. So I think it's fun and it's creative, like I said, because in the early 2000s, we pretty much only had Charlie's Angels, to compare, of course, Matrix, but I'm going with a female perspective here. So only Charlie's Angels. So I think it gave a little flavor, a different flavor.
Yes, because you get the score and then you get this bungee wire work. And I felt like it was this is 2001, but I feel like it still captured those late 90s elements perfectly.
Oh yeah, 100%. And do you have a favorite scene or an action scene?
It might be because it calls back to the game, but I really do love the temple scene with those monkey statues. Yes, the CGI is, even back in the day, I don't think they looked that great. I think our minds always say, that's CGI. But that scene still is very fun to me because it is so Tomb Raider, and her trying to get that cauldron to break by riding that thing and getting that little needle to press it. I was like, yes, that's the game. And it makes me have a lot of feelings of that. So I really appreciated that one this time.
I agree. I think we needed that scene. We needed her in the jungle and, exploring the tombs. And I completely agree with you with the CGI. I think it's very Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie.
Yes, another classic.
Another classic. But I think Power Rangers did it better. The creatures are, a little bit better there, because here, not that it's terrible, but I think the CGI, it's a little bad.
Very dated out of everything, because everything else looks pretty beautiful, and the bungee fight, like we said, looks really good. So the CGI elements do date it.
And I do love that both of these movies, but here in particular, they are able to travel the world. It's not only her mansion.
Yes.
She's in Italy and she's in Russia. So I think it's really interesting that Lara, being a millionaire, she can go different places.
Exactly. And if you don't know the character, you're filled in with this because she has this mansion. We get her real life father playing her father. This is really interesting. So the character of Alex, she distrusts him for stealing the prayer wheel. And the prayer wheel is an item from Tomb Raider 2 in 1997.
Do we always have to fight like this? Maybe we don't.
Maybe we do.
Why?
You stole my prayer wheel.
Stole? Stole? From you, that's funny. It's not like you ever really own them or anything.
I love things like that, Cadu. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. This is just from the trivia, of course, but love when you bring these things and then you can be like, this character actually stole that from Lara after Tomb Raider 2.
Yeah, and only a super fan can know that, because I was watching the movie and some things, of course, I could identify, like, sounds of the game and, hidden things that we can say, oh, that's the game. But other things, I was like, just like you, looking up online and saying, oh my God, this is from the game. It's so fun.
Did you love, speaking of things from the game, when she found something interesting and she went, mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Because that was my favorite thing about the game, whenever I was playing, she was able to find something, she was like,
That's all we needed as fans. We just needed her to say,
And she did it beautifully by the end.
Again, made for this role.
39.
Alex West.
38. Hey, Laura. 37.
Tourist visa?
No, I'm working.
In the video game, Lara is, and Radical Ones, I'm just giving you the facts. We're not trying to objectify her, but she's a 36DD. And Angelina is not anywhere near that. So they patterned her to go to a 36D to make it look more like the character. And in the sequel, they didn't do this. So that's something to look out for, but could definitely tell that this is not Angelina's normal size.
And they were trying to make this woman, look like a video game because she's so perfect. So she couldn't be real.
And it's very different from what we're getting now. This is when a time when, for good or bad, they made characters very beautiful and sexy. And it just, this is a product of the time, but we love it. It's so of the time, and it's the character. It's the character. It's perfect.
One other thing that I just realized rewatching those movies, there's not a single woman in this franchise, only Lara. Of course, we have, some kids or whatever, but...
Oh, yeah, the little Lara, that's probably it. Oh, and the other girl.
Little Lara or the foreign girls. Other than that, no other women in these movies.
Cadu. That is amazing that you noticed that. That's so funny.
I was like,
true.
No female villain, no female, like best friend or parent or anything. It was just like, man, wow, Lara is the only character, female character of these movies.
The first game actually did have, for any Radical Ones that don't know, had a female villain. Wow, Cadu. She will be the only woman to look at. That's the way to go. That's how you make a movie.
And speaking of bad guys, what do you think of this whole, triangle of light and the Illuminati guy trying to, go back in time?
I feel like you hear about this Illuminati stuff like recently, but no, this has been in media forever. It's something that people have always talked about, this Illuminati. So it does add to a real life mystery. And then just like the games Cadu, so I got to give them to that. There's elements of realism, but there's always supernatural. There's always something that's a powerful relic that does something. So again, finding the two halves of a triangle and then the eye, I love things like that.
I do too.
And the villain makes sense because I feel like she does go to like people that it's usually these wealthy people and they send out other hunters or people to find some kind of relic. So this does sound real, like to the game. So I liked it.
Lara's overrated. She's good, don't get me wrong. But she's in it for the glory. Whereas I'm in it for the money.
And I do miss those kind of villains. Of course, we love complex characters, but sometimes I do miss it, those one-dimensional characters that are just bad,
Exactly. They're just there to give our hero something to do, to do all the grand things from. That's okay.
Yeah, and I think he did a great job, especially by the end when they have that fight scene.
Oh, yes. The end of this movie is really, really good. Well, we'll get into I think the ending of the second one is even better.
Oh, yes, I completely agree.
Oh my God, I forgot about that ending, and I was like, ooh. So, Cadu, this movie was only surpassed as one of the highest video game adaptations worldwide for 9 years until... Oh, no, excuse me. It was surpassed by Pokemon, the first movie. And then 9 years later, that was surpassed by Prince of Persia. This did break records at the time, the original.
Yeah, and even recently, this was the only female action movie from a video game, or I think from superheroes too, that, it was a success until Wonder Woman.
Wow, that's crazy to think of.
Yeah, because in between we had Catwoman and Lara Croft.
Your Catwoman! Happy 20th! We're filming this on the 20th, Cadu and I, of the movie's anniversary.
So Catwoman flopped, Elektra flopped, and so this, the studios didn't want to take another risk with female characters. So for a while, we had just, superhero man and not a female character again until Wonder Woman.
This is crazy. That is crazy. Because clearly it was done really well with the first Tomb Raider.
Yeah, it was very successful. And, like we said, it brought everyone to the movie theaters. So, yeah, I think it was that sensation that we talked about.
In 2300 BC, an Egyptian pharaoh found a place that he named the Cradle of Life.
And there he found a box which contained life and death.
And it has never been seen since.
His name is Jonathan Rice. He doesn't care who his weapons kill or why.
Rice is going to find Pandora's box.
You mean the Greek myth?
That's the Sunday school version. It's a weapon more powerful than you could ever imagine.
We'll assign 2 of our best agents.
I don't want them. I need an insider, someone who knows their methods, their hideouts. I need Terry Sheridan.
Croft.
No guns, no weapons of any kind.
Talk about taking the fun out of life.
So this rock is the map to Pandora's box.
Lara! It's in Africa.
Africa it is.
Men are coming for the box.
No one who has gone looking for this has come back.
Take us to the Cradle of Life. It's your destiny to see what's inside.
So, of course, the next thing you would do is make a sequel. And in 2003, we got Lara Croft Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life, where fearless explorer Lara Croft tries to locate Pandora's box before criminals use it for evil. According to myth, the box holds deadly organisms that could kill millions of people. With her old partner Terry, Gerard Butler, which I feel like the first time I ever saw him was in this movie.
Me too.
And he looks amazing. Croft goes on a hunt that takes her from Europe to Asia to Africa, down cliffs, scuba dives, and goes against many male opponents. Isn't that funny? Yes, because like Cadu said, she's the only woman.
Yeah.
Oh, in this one, we do get that nice local villager woman who has her guns, right?
True.
Unlike Lara to take a partner. Where are you two going?
So this one, Cadu, starts with Greece. It's beautiful, and there's a wedding going on, which I completely forgot about. And I said, wait, is this the right movie?
Because it makes no sense. I was like, one of these characters are going to be relevant for the movie, and
no, nothing about it, right? But it's you. You get that look of this wedding. And then you get this beautiful ocean water and Lara doing this amazing jet ski spin, which is amazing.
I do love that, the beautiful shots of the ocean. I think it's very poetic, and, Greece is very beautiful. And we have one of my favorite outfits of this whole entire franchise, the iconic silver suit, the wetsuit. I mean, gorgeous.
And it went on to become, like you said, it was the look from this movie, the poster, and even they made, I remember, statues of this look. So yes, this wetsuit.
And it goes back to the game. I remember Lara using one of those suits, to go underwater, and it was perfect.
Lara, Maybe this temple's not meant to be found.
Everything lost is meant to be found. Don't worry.
As much as I think it's a cool idea, I was so stressed and hated underwater levels in Tomb Raider. I always wanted them to end.
Me too. It was so difficult.
So difficult. And then there's a countdown, Radical Ones, if you don't know, of her breath usually. And then, if you don't make it, you end up drowning. It's so stressful. So Lara, she's going for it. Underwater. What do you think about people make fun of this movie because of at one point a CGI shark
I knew you were gonna say that.
Comes and Lara punches it. And you know what? I'm not mad, Cadu.
I'm not mad either.
It's great.
Maybe when I first watched it, I was like, what the hell? But now that I embrace the campiness, I'm like, yeah, I'm all for it.
Exactly. If you're in on this and you realize you're going to just have a fun action thing, you saw this character do so many other things. She could punch a shark.
And get away with it, She
get away with it.
She even go out to the ocean with the shark.
You're right. She had these beautiful Greek men working for her, and they sadly got killed.
And I thought it was a tragic scene, because I wasn't expecting that. They were like, their throats were gutted,
Do you feel like they made this movie more mature and sexier?
Good question. I think they definitely amped things up, It was more sexy, more mysterious, everything more,
Yeah, everything more. Yes, true. You got to do that in the sequel, right? Everything. Throw everything at them.
Yeah.
I feel like it really felt like the first one, and then it grew up a little.
Totally.
It wanted to be more mature in some way. So I'm glad, yes, that I'm not alone with this.
And I even say that I felt Angelina more comfortable this time around.
Right. I wonder if she realized she got through it the first time. She set the tone and, she figured, this is it. I know this character now.
And she's even more beautiful in this movie.
Truly. And I know Cadu was thrilled about this. Lara does not keep her famous braided hair in this. She is pure ponytail usually.
Yeah, she's beautiful in this movie. And the clothes, later on we have a scene where she's wearing another iconic outfit, which is a white coat. And it's one of those moments.
I feel like that's very Full Throttle.
Yeah, 100% Natalie.
That's exactly why I think I love that coat so much, too. Beautiful white snow coats or whatever, winter coat things. Hillary and Bryce are even less in this movie. So I like that they didn't forget about them. There was more going on. Are you okay with that, or would you have wanted more of their stuff?
I was okay with it because I found the character of Gerard Butler really interesting. He's a bad guy and Lara needs to work with him. So I thought it was a really good balance between, good versus evil in a way. And he's gorgeous. My God. If I have to pick Daniel Craig or Gerard Butler, of course, I would pick Terry Sheridan because he's
1000%
gorgeous in this movie.
And don't be looking at my ass.
The only thing I remember about this movie was breaking him out of jail with he's working out. Again, I feel like this is Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
Full Throttle.
With the Justin Theroux character.
Exactly. But my God, he looks amazing in this movie. And that sex scene that they almost had. So Angelina nibbling him. I feel like that was when she let Angelina out. That was sexy.
Super sexy. But I do love that in both of these movies, Lara doesn't get involved with any of these men,
Yes.
Even
Cadu.
with Terry, she, shares a kiss, but when you feel like they are getting, sex, she handcuffs him and go out to figure out the mystery herself.
So what do I have to do?
You need to take me to the Shaling.
The Shea who?
There's a man named Chenlo who took something from me and I want it back.
I totally agree. If this was James Bond, he would have had to sleep with the woman. It would have been all of that. So totally agree. We don't need that. And she knew how to trap him. So smart.
And do you think this movie grew on the action? Because I think it's really action-packed. We have bikes, we have parachutes, we have jets, we have...
Oh my God.
We have everything, and it's so fun. Like I said, I love action. So this movie for me was so exciting.
You're right. I think that they didn't want anyone to say, this movie is boring. They give you moments where Lara might have to explain something, right? But the plot does go on, but the action is perfect when it's served. Again, sci-fi and supernatural and creatures, because that's exactly what would happen in Tomb Raider.
And I do love that object, that orb, that you need that orb to find Pandora's box.
I love this. Can we have an orb that instantly translates every language? That alone was amazing.
And it's so funny because she does all this tech stuff with that old flip phone. Oh my God.
You're right. I thought the same thing. And I said, oh my goodness. That phone. Oh my goodness.
So 2000s.
Lara.
Ah, what is the happy couple up to?
Accessorizing. Where are we? I'm reading the orb.
All maps have a key, Lara. Scale a legend, yes? The orb's key, it's not on the orb. It must have been lost.
Or somewhere in the temple. Go through every image I took. Start with the ones near the orb. The key must have been linked to it in some way. Right. Bye then.
That is definitely a time capsule of that time.
And again, going back to Charlie's Angels, I remember in Full Throttle, they did the same thing. They are making pictures and everything with a cell phone, and the picture is so high definition.
That would have been the blurriest, worst photo ever taken on those phones.
But since she has Bryce, of course, he's going to make everything looks crystal clear.
We all need Bryce. Can we have him work on stuff for us on Radical? Please. Have him work on audio and pictures. But that's so true. Speaking of people in her mansion, I love this line. They say, are you staying for tea? And she says, no, tea is for guests. I just thought that was so perfect.
Perhaps you gentlemen would like some tea while you wait?
The door is for intruders.
Again, really witty and sarcastic.
And I appreciated that wit because I think Lara is funny. I think she would say stuff like that.
Yeah, because she's so dry, her human is so dry. So I think it goes perfectly with her being an English woman. They are more reserved, but at the same time, she's really, really funny.
I forgot to mention that the movie critic, Roger Ebert, he actually enjoyed the first one, which I'm shocked because this man never enjoyed anything. And then in this one, he said, despite critical reception, he still enjoyed this one. And he said he waited his whole career for a moment when the villains are momentarily held up by a child hitting all the buttons on a mall elevator. I think that's something. Even though it was panned, I think some people got that it's different.
And it adds to that campiness that I talked about,
Exactly. I don't know. You can't beat camp. I think it really works in movies like this.
Yeah, for my taste, it's perfect. I love a campy movie. And, there's a lab going on during, a regular mall.
Oh, that's right.
And even when they're shooting everything, people weren't aware there's a shooting going on.
How is that possible? The sounds alone.
Everything breaking, the glass everywhere.
That's something you didn't expect in Tomb Raider, probably the mall setting. But you know what? You got to be ready wherever you are.
But I do appreciate that lab action scene, because we see a lot of Lara juggling both of those pistols. That is her signature,
Yes, the dual pistols, Cadu. Yes.
And I do love that in both of these movies, she can handle those guns because normally they try to shy away, give her different things just because it's a movie. But I really love that in the first one, in the first sequence, and here during every fight scene she has like those pistols with her.
As fans of the games, those were your default weapon because they always had unlimited ammo. So it's nice that they allowed her to be, again, like the game, because that really is a big part of the levels.
And again, here, just like the first one and just like the game, she travels the world, China, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Africa.
And those African scenes were, every place was shot beautifully. Starting with the Greek scenes in Greece, they were beautiful. You get like a tour of the world with this movie.
Yeah, I really, really love that. She can go everywhere because, like we said, she's billionaire. I don't know how much money she has, but she's so rich. So she can afford, going to places.
And that's the charm about her character. Okay, maybe it's horrible to say that she doesn't care about money because she has it, but she doesn't really. Like, she goes on these adventures for the thrill of it. And it's brought up in these movies, right? Like,
yeah, and she's trying to protect the world,
But yeah, it's truly, she always ends up stopping some kind of world-ending apocalyptic prophecy while doing so.
And here in the end, we are basically watching a horror movie. Those creatures in the night, I felt like I was, playing Resident Evil or something.
Yes, and the sounds. They even showed, and I totally forgot about this, someone peeing themselves out of fear. Again, that too feels like they got more mature with things.
Yeah.
And by the end, when the villain is literally, his skin and everything is just melted off his body, or whatever that was, horrifying.
And when he's trying to drop her and her head is, basically melting.
That is something. And I appreciated those scenes. And I'll tell you what, I even appreciated, which I didn't remember, that Terry sticks to his character, which we've heard the whole entire movie. And he gonna take that Pandora's box, and Lara's refusing. She's standing in the way.
What are you doing?
Well, you're joking, right? We're taking this with us. This is ours.
You're not walking out of here with that box.
So what are you saying? We just leave it? When it's worth a fortune?
Put it back.
No, I don't think so.
It could kill millions of innocent people.
Now you're being dramatic.
Put it back.
No!
I love that she was able to do, and she was so upset she ends up stopping him because he was about to shoot her. We see she shoots him, and she's very brokenhearted about that. I mean, I guess in the games she shoots at humans, but in this, I don't think it's like her normal thing.
Yeah, even though she kills a lot of people in this movie. But I felt really effective as well. He was going to double cross her and even kill her. So
yes,
she needed to kill him first.
And it shows her character that she had a history with this person, but she's gonna save the world and she's gonna do what's right. So do you have a favorite scene in Cradle?
Oh, so many favorite scenes. The opening sequence, not the wedding scene.
It's not My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah.
Don't be confused, everybody.
When she is in her wetsuit and exploring the tomb or whatever, and I think that it's really effective because I really love those moments because it's like you're playing the game, when Lara is trying to search for the next clue and she finds the artifact. So I think that scene is really, really good. And all the action scenes I really love, when she's in her motorcycle. I do love that scene when they are escaping the mall and they go way, way, way up and jump.
Just for the hell of it, right? They had to do it.
For the hell of it. I really, really love it. And those bad guys are like, okay, what should we do? We should follow them, but how?
Oh my God, I'm still laughing over the mall that no one heard anything. Like, they were shooting up the place. Oh my God.
And I really love the chemistry between Lara and Terry. I think Angelina and Gerard are much more, in sync.
Yes.
You can feel the passion there.
So that makes sense because they did as Daniel Craig Beck and he refused. I don't think he enjoyed himself. We didn't miss you.
Yeah, we got someone better.
Yeah. I totally agree. I was very pleased.
Lara, are you okay?
Lara, all right.
This is very touching.
You know us. Always making friends, having a laugh.
Getting married.
This is a wedding ceremony and you are the grooms.
So Angelina stated that she kept Lara's holsters and has them at home. I mean, if you're going to take anything, definitely.
And you can see that she loves this character, because like we said, changed her life. She adopted her kids and she became an activist and she became an international icon. So I can totally see that she's grateful for playing Lara.
And speaking of that, she said this was 2004. So, I mean, this is how many years ago? Actually, when I graduated, they said it made back enough money to make a third film. But Angelina says, I just don't feel like I need to do another one. I felt really happy with the last one. This was one we really wanted to do. Of course, years later, it was ended up rebooted. But do you think now we could get a legacy sequel in our legacy sequel generation?
Oh, 100%. But first, I want to go back to the
yeah, please.
To the 2018 reboot because I actually really like it. I think it was solid and it was really well done. It has a special place in my heart because I was invited to the Brazilian premiere of the movie.
That's right.
Yeah, and I was with a good friend of mine. Shout out to Sabina. We had a great time that night. It was super fun. So I really enjoyed that movie. But of course, I prefer Angelina's version. So I would love to see a legacy sequel now. And I think we can have it, if fans demand online and if Angelina wants to return, I think it would break the internet,
I agree. The 2018, which my goodness feels like 20 years than it was. I did enjoy it, but there is something about, and again, it's probably nostalgia, but I really can't see anyone but Angelina in my eyes, really.
Yeah,
because she became so much of that character. Of course, it was a different take. It was a much more serious Tomb Raider, but I would love part 3.
Let's hope for it. Maybe they will do it. They are recreating everything.
That's right. They just did Beverly Hills Cop. Don't even remember how many years, over 20 years later, probably. Another one, number 4.
They are doing, Shrek 5 and all sorts of things. And a sequel to Devil Wears Prada. And I said to Ryan that I predict a December announcement of Charlie's Angels 3. So let's see if my predictions are right.
You heard it here, Radical Ones. If this happens, I'm playing this clip. And I think it could bring in another generation of more legacy sequels. That was our double feature with Tomb Raider. Do you recommend it still, Cadu, to the Radical Ones?
I do, because I hadn't seen this movie in a really long time. I think I saw it back in, 2008 or whatever. So it was a really long time and I really enjoyed it. I think it was the perfect amount of camp and yes. I highly suggest that you watch with, fresh eyes because it's so fun.
And in our video game summer, this is one of the 2 films that truly hold up enough that I could say, yes, go for it, because some of them are very dated. This had dated moments, but honestly, it looks beautiful. So definitely give these 2 a shot. They're not available on like Netflix or anything at the moment, but did you use your DVD?
Yes, I did.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, same. So Radical Ones, that was another episode of the podcast. Cadu, where can the lovely people find you when you're not hanging out over here?
You can follow me on Instagram, Cadu Luongo.
And I, of course, will have Cadu's links in the description box below, as well as the Radical Retro Rewind podcast, one word, on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and beyond. We are closing in of our video game summer, so we do ask if you have Apple and Apple Podcasts, if you could help us do a few more reviews in the written form. That would be amazing. We're trying to hit 20. I don't know as of recording. We're at 18, but who knows, Cadu? We could have another one before this is even out.
Lara can bless us.
Oh, that would be amazing. Thank you. And of course, this is not the end of Cadu. We got plans. We have movies. They might not be double features, but we got movies planned out.
I will be back.
Thank you, Radical Ones, and tune in next week for a new episode. And Cadu, thank you again.
Thank you, and stay radical.
Don't you think you've seen enough?